Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review. And I know this is probably the first movie review I've done in a while because I was taking a break, because like I said, I've only been doing other videos like episode reviews and stuff like that because I was taking a break because like I said, I had back issues and it just put a big delay on things. So, but now I'm finally getting back into doing more movie reviews, and I hope it just get back into the groove again because I've been putting off for quite a bit because of, like I said, which I've already explained though. But like I said, but now that I'm feeling a lot better now, so now getting back into doing more movie reviews now. And in the first movie review we're doing right now, upon return to doing this, is another film that I liked that came out this year. Because because I know during Halloween month it's been full of rants. There's been a couple of films that I disliked that came out this year, and so here to talk about another film that came out this year that I liked. Now, it's a sequel, but what I say is I would probably still say the first one was still better though. But I still had fun with this film despite there's a couple of issues though. But it didn't discourage me in any way from liking the movie still though, despite a couple of nitpicks though. But I liked it though still because I enjoyed the first film. It was surprised for me. And so here I'll be reviewing of the 2025 sequel, Nobody 2. Yep, so yeah, Nobody 2. Once again starring Bob Odenkirk, who came back from the first film. Of course, Bob Odenkirk, which my brother enjoyed him from the Better Call Saul series. The series that was a prequel to Breaking Bad. And so Bob Odenkirk, I enjoyed him in the first Nobody, and here he did a good job as well. Um, Once again he returns as Hutch, and the same as all the pretty much the returning principal cast members. Once again you have Connie Nielsen who plays his wife. The same two kid actors who played his kids from the first movie, they come back. Christopher Lloyd, who played his dad, he comes back as well. Raza, who plays his brother, he comes back as well. Raza, or Riza, or Raza. I would say Raza. RZA, Raza. He comes back as well as once again playing as his brother. And I forget the guy's name though, but he was also in the first movie. He was the guy in the barbershop who knows a lot of intel on a lot of criminals, right? Um, I also remember more like he was the guy in the first Resident Evil movie. He was the lead soldier who tried to just he did his best try to avoid the hallway, the laser hallway, right? He dodged them pretty good though, but until when they did the whole grid part, that's when he got sliced to pieces. It was that guy in the first Resident Evil film. So yeah, he was in the first Nobody. He was the guy in the bar. He goes to the barber shop and get intel on. He comes back as in this as well. Yeah, so pretty much the main principal cast members have returned. Um, and the guy who directed this movie, um it's not the same director who directed the first movie because the first guy who directed the guy who directed the first Nobody, right? It was the same guy who directed Hardcore Henry, which I enjoy that film. I think that's an underrated movie. And that was surprised that the guy who directed Hardcore Henry, who directed the first Nobody, that surprised me, and he did a good job with the movie. But here it's a different guy who took over. Um, get the guy's name. Uh, Timo Tjahjanto. I can pronounce his last name though, but um, he directed films like Headshot, Killers, and Macabre. He's going to direct the sequel of The Beekeeper 2. You know, The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. I think he is. Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. That's me to me. That was one of the recent better Jason Statham movies. So this guy who directed Nobody 2, he's gonna be directing the sequel to The Beekeeper, which I look forward to it because I think this guy did a pretty decent job with Nobody 2. But I think the guy who directed Hardcore Henry in the first movie, I think he did it better because to me, I think the first film is still better for me. Because one of the things I have with with the sequel though, I think it was how should I put this? I think they played it safe for the sequel because I think it was a little less visceralness than the first movie did. I almost say it's like the term playing it safe or tame. That's definitely one of the nitpicks I have with the movie because it didn't have like the visceralness or some of the grisly stuff that from the first movie that was lacking in this sequel. So I would probably say I would call the term for this was a tame sequel. I think they could have done a little bit more on the visceralness or the gruesomeness. I would say it was like in the first movie, right? Like the bus fight on the fight on the bus was funny, you know, and or the finale in the warehouse. Well, the traps they set for the mercenaries and stuff, right? That gave me like ooh a little bit of greediness. I was saying, and so but there's still a little because there's still a little bit of that stuff in there though. But I think it was a little bit less more tame than the sequel, than the first film. I'm trying to say. So that's a nitpick I have with it though. But regardless though, it didn't. It still I still had fun watching it though. Regardless. So in this film, Bob Odenkirk comes back as, which by the way, I'm glad he's feeling a bit better because he had like health issues for a little while ago. So I'm glad he's feeling a lot better because I like Bob Odenkirk. I'm really big on the whole Better Call Saul TV show, but I know he's not the problem. I know he's a good actor, but I enjoy him in these movies though. Um, but in the so it's 4 years after this, but because the kids are more grown up. He is taking on debt because from the first at the end of the first one when he burns the money the op shack from the Russian. Now he's like about $800,000 in debt. I think he was, or is it 800 million? I think it was like eight. I think no. I think it was 800 million. Yeah, it does. So he's been taking on all these various missions, trying to pay it back. And once again, they're kind of doing like a little bit of a replay of the same thing from the first movie, like how in the first movie how he was being distant from his family. Here is kind of they're kind of like a little bit reminiscing that as a same thing again. And so I think they could have just not go the same way as the first one, like how he's being distant from his family. He's doing it again. But he's that's what he's taking all these missions for. But you do get some fun action sequences where he's fighting these guys in an elevator. He's beating with a telephone. The one where he so hard he cracks like knocks out a lot of the one of the guys' teeth out, and then to get to retrieve this small device, and then he finds out he's more. There's more bad guys with machine guns. Then afterwards, is like what was he said Brazilians with machetes. And so it's just it was supposed to be just a simple catch and snatch, right? He said, well, it started out like that. And then he gets an idea to take his family on a vacation. The idea of this place called Plummerville. It's a water amusement park where he went to when he was a kid. It was when he was a kid. It was the only one family vacation he went with his brother and his dad. And he had a lot of fun memories there. So he wanted to take his family over there again. And they're bringing his dad along, their grandpa, once again played by Christopher Lloyd. I met Christopher Lloyd 2022, and I just met him recently again at the San Francisco Expo a month ago, the end of November. Second time, so with me and my mom, so I can probably had to make a video for the recent one. So, but yeah, Christopher Lloyd, yeah, it was fun to I see seeing again. So they they go to the water park Plummerville, and there's an instance where they're at this hot dog place, and he's reminiscing like a flashback from one of his childhood memories. He's staring at this one certain spot, but there's the sheriff is sitting there. He's like, "Hey, what are you looking at?" "Oh, sorry, I was just thinking." And the sheriff is played by Colin Hanks, son of actor Tom Hanks. Now, I would say though, Colin Hanks, I will say I'm not really too big on him, honestly. Though I know that he just like I'm not trying to downplay though, but there are certain like who are the kid actor childs of certain actors, right? Like I know like when it comes to child actors, like it's like okay, you're not as good as the parent, right? Take let's see who else I would say you're not like they're not like their father or mother. Trying to think of one. Well, I know Jaden Smith, son of Will Smith. No, no, no. I don't like Jaden Smith. No, Will Smith. He's definitely not. He's definitely not his father. That's like I say. That is a prime example right there. I would say Colin Hanks. I would say he's not bad in it though, but I would say like you know what, he's trying though, but he's not at the same level as his dad Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks is a phenomenal actor. Great actor. I just it's like he's trying though, but it's like he's not. You're not like your dad though. That's the only best way I can describe him. All right. I know anybody could have played this role though, but okay. But it's like okay, Colin Hanks. Okay, the son of actor Tom Hanks. He's playing. He's in this as well. Okay. And so they tried. They want to go. They go to this or they do this arcade, and Bob Odenkirk's son gets in like a fight with this one kid. He snatches his sister's badger away, rips it up, and tries to not to get in the fight. And then this one employee goes and smacks Bob Odenkirk's daughter backside of the head, and that just set him off. And he's like, he goes back and Connie and I was like, no, don't do it, no, don't do it. And he goes and takes like the crane grabbers, right? One of those crane machines, right? The grabber. He yanks one off and just hits one guy with it. Or like when one of those the hammers you do the whack-a-mole game, right? Takes a hammer, hits one guy with it, and then tosses one guy into the face plant into one of those pinball machines. And then gets trouble and then meets with the owner of the water park, who is the son because when the water park was owned by this guy Wild Bill, right? Which was in an old commercial he was showing his family. His son is the current owner, and talks to him. And the guy who plays the current owner of the water park is played by John Ortiz, which I've seen him also in other films as well. Like I remember he was in The Dog's Purpose, Kong Skull Island. He's been in quite a few other films I've seen him in. So, and here he does fine. I don't mind him. And so he wants him to leave, but he doesn't want to. Because he still wants to make memories with his family. So like the next day he goes on these duck boats, but he sees the guys that are following him. So he gets on another boat, and he gets a. I do like the fight, right? I do like the fight where there's one where he gets the tip of his left pinky cut off, and then he like hits one of the guys with this pole, or one gets like a duck helmet, puts it on one guy and starts hitting him with it, gets an anchor, jams into one guy and throws him off the boat. I think he starts being the deputy with his face like, "I'm on vacation." Just really beats him until he gets like knocked all the guy's teeth out. And I would say he said, "I'm on vacation." He said that a lot better than Bruce Willis did when he kept on repeating it in the fifth Die Hard movie. Because in the fifth Die Hard movie, Bruce Willis keeps on saying, "I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation." He keeps on repeating it, repeating it. You know, one time was enough, but he kept on repeating it, and it just got tired very fast of like him saying that. But here he says, but Bob Odenkirk, he says it one time, and he's like, "I'm on vacation." Said a lot better than Bruce Willis did. And so he calls his brother, Raza, and tells him about where he's at, and it used to be an old trading route, for the usual stuff, guns, drugs, and cash, and all that stuff, and then he contacts the guy from the barbershop and tells him it's being run by this. The main woman, the main villain, is played by Sharon Stone. Which she pops up until like I was this up until this point. This is like midway through the movie already, so she doesn't really pop up until like halfway through the movie, and she's the main villain. And another thing, so I'm not really a big another one. I'm not really a big Sharon Stone fan either, but I did like her in Total Recall with Arnold. Of course, her most memorable role was in Basic Instinct, which I do like her role in that as well. But I'm not really overall a big Sharon Stone fan. I mean, last time I saw her, she was a villain. She was in Catwoman, and that was a god awful movie. The Specialist with Stallone, I'm not really big on though. I'm just really not a big Sharon Stone guy. I really was. I'm not. I mean, the Western film, The Quick and the Dead. She was awful in that movie. That was the one with the Sam Raimi did with DiCaprio and the late Gene Hackman. Yeah, I was not a fan of The Quick and the Dead. And Sharon Stone, she was awful in that movie. But here, I mean, I think she did. I think she did okay. I mean, showing how crazy this woman is. Like when she catch this guy cheating at her craps, not craps, but it was a poker, playing blackjack and stuff like that, right? Stabs this guy in the hand, then in the eyes, like, "Ha ha ha, you're a winner." Laughing, and then like we see her do like a little dance, show how crazy she is doing with dancing. Just I think Sharon Stone. I think she did fine what she had to work with. Do I think her performance here as a villain is better than her performance in Catwoman? Yes, I do. Okay. If anyone asks, yes, I think her performance as this villain is better than the villain she portrayed in Catwoman. Yes. Let alone the film itself is better than Catwoman. Any film is better than Catwoman. And so afterwards, she finds out, and then they're on their way. So he goes and talks with John Ortiz and his father. They help set up rig the amusement park. And so then Colin Hanks tries to talk to him. Hey, this is your last chance. They refuse, and then the bad guys, they shoot Colin Hanks. And that's where you get a lot of the traps. A lot of the traps are just explosions. There's a couple instances where they get hit by this one ride, kind of like how in Zombieland. I wish they could use more of that stuff, even for more of those, instead of just explosions, because the explosions on the ground, and there's like an explosion. They put some explosives in the those ball pits, right? Those plastic balls in that pit, right? There's another instance where they use these surfboards with knives in them, or Bob Odenkirk slides. I do like this one where Bob Odenkirk slides down this water slide. Guy chases after him. He gets out of the way and rigs these spikes, and the guy gets impaled in the water slide. I do like that. Um. ah, um so I do like that incident, and then with Raza, he has a katana. It takes a couple of guys with these traps. Then one of the lead henchman that was working with Sharon Stone has like a machete, and then I guess he has this katana that's like made out of, well, I would say hard as steel. It's like adamantium because he charges in and he's able to slice through the guy's gun and then right through the guy like this, his head like this, right up to here, through the mouth part, and then. So it has to be like an adamantium katana because it goes like it's sharp enough to slice through the guy's gun, and then go right through the guy's slice through his head like so. And then that's after all that. That's when Sharon Stone shows up with these two women bodyguards that she has. They beat up Bob Odenkirk. I mean, he couldn't take out these women himself, so John Ortiz has to shoot both of them. And then Connie Nielsen shows up and shoots Sharon Stone with a dart gun. Now I know that Connie Nielsen in here, she gets to do something that she didn't do in the first movie. I do get that though, right? Because the first movie she didn't do anything in the first movie. Here, at least she shoots Sharon Stone because she shoots one here, and then she gets shot in the eye. She deflects one of her knives and gets shot in the eye. So okay, yeah, I guess Connie Nielsen does get to do something that she didn't do in the first movie. But I think I could have like had Bob Odenkirk try to beat up the two other women, and instead of them instead of our John Ortiz saving him and shooting them. I would think prefer the scene that Bob Odenkirk tried to use his skills to beat the two women. That's another nitpick I have. But and another thing, I do understand. Like, yeah, okay, Connie Nielsen saves her husband, right? She gets to do something that she didn't do in the first movie. Okay, I understand that. And one another positive, but besides that nitpick though, a positive that comes up, the whole time during this scene, you have Celine Dion's "The Power of Love" playing, which I didn't expect to hear in this finale. Cause I'm your lady by the power of love. I didn't expect that song choice to be in this finale. I didn't. So that was kind of funny to hear. But and then Christopher Lloyd. And that's another thing. Christopher Lloyd doesn't do a whole lot either. The only time I see him, he does get he has like a Gatling gun and starts shooting some bad guys, and then he pulls that, the handle trigger down. You blow up explosives, right? He pulls that down, explodes the whole place up, and then Sharon Stone, CGI fire though, as she gets burnt. She gets incinerated while she's smiling because she's crazy. So yeah, as a close up shot of her getting incinerated while she's smiling. CGI fire though, sad to say though, but just the whole thing was CGI. The whole sequence was CGI fire. But then Bob Odenkirk and Connie Nielsen, they jump into the water for safety. And then it comes like at the end, like the aftermath, like how it comes like in the ending of the first movie where Bob Odenkirk was being interrogated. Who are you? I'm nobody, right? Now here, it's Bob Odenkirk with the dog they help rescue, and Connie Nielsen's in there. It's like, who are you? And it's like, we're married. And like the end of the first movie, they get the call, they let him go, and then they show like the slides of all the pictures they had from their vacation. Although I quickly had to mention, because at the beginning of the movie how he owed all this money and because in debt, that kind of gets forgotten about for the rest of the movie because even after he comes home from his vacation, he still owes debt. So I guess like the movie just forgot about that for the rest of the movie. Because even though he gets back from his vacation, he still owes a lot of money in debts. So I'm just pointing that out. It's another nitpick. It's like, yeah, all that at the beginning that gets forgotten about. Him owing you know, debts and stuff like that. And funny thing is, while they're watching the slideshows on their projector, they have posters on the wall. One, if you look closely on, because here's the wide shot of the room they're in. On this side here, if you look closely, they have a poster of John Carpenter's The Thing, which is always cool to see because I love The Thing, my all time favorite horror film. Like on this side right here, you'll see the poster of John Carpenter's The Thing, and on this side here, on this poster on this wall here, you'll see they have the poster of Dark Man. Another one I enjoy, Dark Man. And on this side here, on the front, on this wall right here, on the other side of the projector screen is the Forever Purge, because they're all Universal properties. Yeah, so you promote their own film properties, right? Because Darkman, the Forever Purge, the Thing, they're Universal. So, but I'm like, he still owes a lot of debt even afterwards, you know. But that gets forgotten about. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's what it does feel a little less more like tame than the first movie though. That's why I also say the first movie is still better. But you know what? I still like the film though. Oh, and there's an instance where he comes out with a Tommy gun. Always nice to see the Tommy guns. I love the Tommy gun. I always love the design look of the Tommy gun. It's rapid fire as well. So it's nice to see he gets to use a Tommy gun. And also during the whole scene when they're getting chased by the bad guys, I like the remix of oh burn baby burn by burn baby burn burn by the ring of fire. Our remix version of Earth Wind and Fire is, you know, burn by the ring of fire. I thought that's another remix I saw. I was like, oh yeah, they did a remix of this version now, you know. But regardless, I think Bob Odenkirk once again he still did a good job. I see that the whole family comes back. I like Connie Nielsen. Connie Nielsen, I remember when I first saw her when she was in Soldier. Then later in The Devil's Advocate, that she played Diana's mother, leader of the Amazons of course, from Wonder Woman. But I like Connie Nielsen though. Nice to see her come back. The kids too. Christopher Lloyd, he was underused in this. Sad to say though. But at least he get to have the explosive. Nice to see him get to use the Gatling gun part. But he was underused in this. Sad to say. Same with Sharon Stone, because she didn't do much. She only appears in like 3 scenes and that's it. And especially she didn't come until like halfway through the movie point. But this what we see when I see Sharon Stone. She was like, okay, you see a little bit of the craziness she has, like the dancing and stuff like that, and her alone smiling as she's being incinerated. So, but I think she was fine what she had to work with though. John Ortiz. I think he did fine what he had to do. So, but and the film didn't do that well in the first movie. The first one made about 57 million. This made about 41 million, so it made a little bit less than the first movie. But it did get positive reviews from critics, though. It does say it has a certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, so critics still like this movie though, like they did the first movie. So, um, but overall, I did enjoy the film. Like some of the action sequences, I like. Like I said, with the whole like the elevator scene at the beginning of the movie, and then, or when he goes in the warehouse where they're holding John Ortiz's son captive, right? He starts shooting guys. There's one he gets flies back into the windshield. They burns all the money and all the stuff that blows up. Um, but Sharon Stone did find ways to work with, and Colin Hanks. I mean, anybody could have played the sheriff though, but okay, Colin Hanks. Hey, son of actor Tom Hanks, but his son is not is not Tom Hanks. It's sad to say. But and Raza, I think he did fine as well. Raza. But overall, yeah, nobody too I liked though. Some of the actresses I liked, I did. But I think I felt it was a little bit tame the first movie because less on the gruesomeness they did compared to the first movie. But I still like it. I still think it's better than some of the movies I've seen today for action. And so if I put this on my list, I'd probably put this on my list, but it'll be much more higher up though, because they're films I like more than this movie. But regardless, though, Nobody 2, I do like though, despite some nitpicks here and there, I still liked Nobody 2. Aside from the acting, the main cast that come back, or hearing Celine Dion's of Power of Love. I didn't expect to hear that song in this movie. I did not. So, and I look for the guy who directed this film. I look forward to seeing The Beekeeper too, because I like the first Beekeeper. Just curious what he might do next afterwards. But overall, yeah, Nobody 2 I liked. I do like Nobody 2, so I was looking forward to it because I enjoyed the first film. Overall, it was overall a payoff for me, but I didn't love it though, but I think it was still enjoyable for me though, not to lose my interest. So yeah, so that's Nobody 2. And let's say nice to get back at me doing more movie reviews again, because I said putting off for quite a bit because of my back, so. But overall, I enjoy the film. And I would say, would I put it probably on my top list of this year? Probably I would, though, depending. So anyway, but that's Nobody 2. Definitely enjoy it. But I said, a little bit of nitpicks here and there, but regardless, though, it's still an enjoyable movie, though. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and for Christmas, and we'll see you next time. Later.